Disapprove.
Yeah. Can we... Parents rise
End
up.
of story.
What took that fucking long, guys? I think a large part of it was COVID. Yeah, something good COVID did for us. Parents got to see the bullshit that their kids were being forced into.
Yeah.
I think that's really it. People have recorded these classes, and you've been able to see it. And...
Do you guys remember when like that started happening, and teachers and there was late conversations between some teachers where they're like, "Fuck, how do we make sure that parents don't find out what we're teaching their kids?" You guys remember that?
Yeah, that was pathetic.
That's such a fucking yikes moment. Like, if you're conspiring to try and make sure that, like, they don't know what you're saying, bro, like, that's just...
Yeah, maybe if you have to conspire to not let them know, maybe what you're doing is wrong. But that wouldn't stop the leftists.
And you know it. And you know it.
Yes, and you know it. And yet, the new extra principle called parents who oppose critical race theory wackos. Guys, that's not how that works. Critical race theory is insane.
Yeah.
If I ever meet someone here in Norway who actually tries to peddle critical race theory, I am going to have to hurt them.
Well, you see, guys, conservatives say that they oppose critical race theory because they hate racism. But in reality, conservatives just hate black people. And they're all fascists like George Bush. And to find this out, because they're never going to admit this, you have to use inductive reasoning to figure it out. And the way that works is that if they are conservative, then obviously they just hate black people and are fascists.
Yes, and by conservative we mean anyone to the right.
And if someone on the left, ostensibly on the left, like Destiny, says that George Bush isn't a fascist, it's just because he wants to spite the left.
Every time you do that, you fill me with this sort of burning, fiery anger, which can only be subsided by playing a Minecraft game.
Would you say my burning desire, or that burning desire, is turning you to sin?
Yeah, it is.
Hellfire?
Yeah.
Now, Gypsy,
I think
your turn. Wait, fuck. We should have brought in JS or Shu.
I think America's solution to the racism problem is really easy. Just go to all the black people and say, right, do you think you deserve reparations? Do you feel like you've been oppressed and you deserve reparations? If they say yes, go, here is $1 million. I will give you $1 million, but you have to leave America and you can never come back.
That'd be nice.
That's it.
That would certainly work.
But you have to go back to Africa. Okay, so pick any of these African countries. Here's $1 million. Off you go. See how long they keep that $1 million in Africa.
Yeah, but their reparations could just be a plane ticket. No. If the problem is slavery, we can just ship them back.
Well, like,
oh my god!
Honestly, like, I think we should give Ghazi Kozdo or whatever his name is like $1 million. Don't even make him leave. Just like get a reality show camera crew to like follow him around. Give like Black Hitler, a Kwabaya guy who like founded the Black Hammer Commune. Just give him $1 million and like follow him around with a camera and see what happens.
We know what would happen.
My point is, if you look back at the history of the people that were slaves, right, and send them back to Africa, those tribes that they were originally were already slaves. The people there are not very keen on those tribes still. Kind of how that works. They weren't, America, Britain and America didn't turn up in Africa and start grabbing people with nets. They bought already enslaved people.
Hey, Oil, do not say this. You do know what happens when you speak that kind of hate facts, right?
Hate truth, yeah.
Factually accurate.
It's hate facts.
It's like our South African friend here. You know, when the Dutch arrived in South Africa, was there anybody there? It was largely empty, right? Largely empty. The Zulus had just passed through and killed everybody. The Dutch arrived into largely empty lands. They didn't take it from anybody. It was empty.
For the most part,
I
yes.
wonder why. I really wonder why.
This is not something in dispute.
Imagine my shock. But yeah, like, kind of on the subject of critical race theory, we're all, like, aware of how perverse it is as an ideology.
Thank you. Have a good one.
But, like, even that aside, it's also just the fact that the way the terminology works is just so dishonest. Like, because we all know how they redefine terms, but they could just create a new term for the ideas that they have, but they don't. They redefine old terms so that they can misappropriate the weight given to the term under its old definition, as well as to play a sort of Mott and Bailey game where it's like, you know, so for example, Vosh can like say, well, I think that Count Dankula is a white supremacist. And then like Dankula's like, hey, I'm not, lad. And Vosh can just be like, debate me, bitch. You fucking scared, debate me. And like, just call Count Dankula a white supremacist with all those like implications. And then like, do this Mott and Bailey thing where he like walks it back where it's like, well, somebody who even has like, you know, slightly off color attitudes or does or supports something which has a disparate impact is a white supremacist.
Yeah. Of course.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, so first of all, Dank and I's natural color is blue, not white. So we only achieve whiteness when reaching room temperature. So that's not the natural color of a Scotsman. You know.
And of course, the thing about Norwegians, we just turn bright red whenever the sun hits us during summer.
Well,
our true color is in the snow. As
we just finished.
What happened?
We lost someone.
Spoon.
Spoon.
No.
Spoon.
Oh, Cap Stasher's gone.
But, like, the other thing about critical race theory that I've been thinking about is where it's like, you know, because they always try and... What?
Bezek, you remember the thing I told about the wasp? Turns out it is here. I need to go... I'm going to give it the Southern American welcome with a newspaper.
Okay, so Trim is off to murder a wasp. Spoon has disappeared for unspecified internet reasons. Go on a second. Tell us more.
Right, so kind of the other thing is that with critical race theory, like, the left always tries to walk it back by saying, oh no, it's actually this really innocent interpretation. You see, when we say abolish whiteness, or whiteness is evil, or whiteness is like everything wrong with society, we don't mean white people in any way. No, we're just talking about certain assumptions and like cultures and systems that are kind of fucked. We're not insulting white people. No, that's not what we mean by whiteness. The thing is, and this is just like them like seriously walking it back whenever they're under scrutiny.
Yeah, and then the idiots go and define whiteness, don't they? And then they insult everyone who isn't white.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, even if they were being completely honest about that, and you know, even if their ideology was completely agreeable and innocent, I would still like reject it just on the basis of the terms. Like, hey, Bezek, I've created this ideology called being anti-pedophile, right? And so, Bezek, say the statement, Bezek is a piece of shit and he deserves to burn at the stake. No, don't worry. The sociological definition of that phrase has nothing to do with you being a bad person or anything, or wishing violence on you. No, that's not what the sociological definition of that phrase means. saying Bezic is a piece of shit and should be burned at the stake has nothing to do with you, Bezic the person. It just means that pedophilia is bad. So if you don't say this statement, I have no choice but to conclude that you were pro-pedophilia. Like, no, you're not going to say the statement, because even if, like, sociologists have redefined it to mean, like, some completely innocent shit, just the very fact of using that statement itself is an inherently degrading thing to you. So why would you do that? Even if the critical race theorists were being honest and they weren't actually doing anything to insult white people, and their ideology wasn't inherently just completely hateful towards white people, you'd never use the word whiteness to describe the bad shit in society, because it's just inherently degrading terminology. So even if we take
way longer than I wanted it to do, but I managed to remove it.
But even if we interpret their ideology at its most innocent, you still just you would never go along with their terminology if you had a brain on your head.
No, their terminology is inherently offensive and purposely inaccurate at best.
Yeah.
It's either over-specific or under-specific, depending on which day of the week it is.
And the stupid fucking thing is, they'll be like, oh, like, using whiteness as the term for all things that are bad in society is completely okay, guys. Don't worry, we're not talking about white people. And it's like, they're the last people who have the room to say that, since they're the same people talking about microaggressions, where it's like, you can't ask a yucca mucka muh where they're from, because that implies they're not from here and is hurtful to them. But you can tell, like, a 6-year-old kid they need to abolish whiteness and become a white traitor, and that's, like, completely innocent.
Every time I go to a foreign country, people ask me where I'm from.
No shit.
Because I'm white, and that means I could be from any fucking number of places.
It's almost as if they go, oh, not local, nice conversation starter, get to know something about them, and you can take a good guess at what some of the cultural norms are so you can relate to them better.
It's quite interesting, actually. When you meet Americans often assume, if you're a Brit and you're not, unless you have that very sort of classically film English accent. If you don't have that, most Americans will first assume you're Australian. That's my experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's landmass, isn't it? Right, the number of British people that you will encounter is actually quite low, because there aren't really that many British people. Fucking lots of Australians, though. So they go, well, he's not American. What's the next biggest English-speaking landmass?
Yep. Australia, despite the fact we've got fuck all people by comparison.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and if a British person comes to the US, they're not coming to fucking Texas.
I've been to Texas. I've worked in Houston.
Fair enough. But you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be like the first destination choice for someone coming out of the climate of Britain.
I caused a bit of a stir in the office. I think I went to Houston the first time for work when I was like 17 or something. So I was quite young. And I arrived in the office, and of course, I'm being a Brit. I've arrived in a nice Italian 3-piece suit and shirt and tie and everything, and everyone's looking at me like, "What the fuck?" And we're sort of congregating outside this meeting room, ready for some sort of meeting. And it's literally my first morning. I'm a bit jet lagged. I've got off the plane and that.
You passed out from heat stroke, didn't you?
No. I've just said to the guy, have I got enough time to quickly nip out and smoke a fag?
Oh, that's even better.
Fucking lead balloon. And I just sort of looked around and went, right, what is it you think I've just said? I mean, I could just, you could just tell by the people I'd said something. And I was like, right, what is it you think I've just said? Because I meant I'm going to go outside and smoke a cigarette. And the guy was, and you could see the sort of relief on people's face, and I was like, yeah. Sort of sounded like you were going to go out and shoot a homosexual. And I was like, right, yeah, no.
Okay, can I come in with that one, because I have a story about a friend of mine who is a Scottish man. He told me about the first time he was going out to have a Scottish cigarette in Norway in a pub, right?
Okay.
He goes talk with this one guy, and then they were out gonna go smoking, still talking. He was putting a smoke in his mouth, lighting it, and then he gave it, and of course asked, "Do you want a Scottish smoke?" And the guy just said, "Are you calling me a bundle of sticks?" And the Scottish guy just he did the thing that was natural to him. He just first saw him pump up, so you're like, "Oh, it's gonna be a fight." Okay, then the Scottish guy just slapped the guy, the Norwegian guy, who incidentally was from the southern area of Norway, mind you, which ended up with the Norwegian
Hold
guy.
on, someone's at my
collapsing on-
door for some reason, so I'll be right back.
That's all right. He collapsed on the ground, started crying like a bitch. And then he just turned around to me and said that was the moment I realized that not all Norwegians are Vikings.
They're really,
And I just
they're really not.
no. I mean, the further north you go, the closer you get. But Jesus Christ, the ones in the south are just fucking pathetic.
Yeah. So talking of cultural linguistic issues, the classic one for Australia, and it's a story of unverifiable origin, but it gets the point across. So, an Australian goes on holiday with his family to America, and he takes his daughter shopping. So he goes shopping and asks the shop attendant, "Can I get a thong for my daughter?"
Yeah, okay, I already know where this is going.
Yep. So, being Australian, thongs mean flip-flops.
Yeah.
Oh God.
In America, a thong is a piece of lingerie, so the reaction, suboptimal to say the least. Wood chipper inducing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I lived in Singapore for years, so I'm quite au fait with Australian culture as well. You know?
Ah, yes, Singapore, where Australians go when they're tired of white people.
Yeah. Basically true.
Language
Me, a lot
is
of
such a
Australians.
funny thing. It's just such a funny thing.
Well, it's no wonder that Americans get like this if apparently 50% of their students are not proficient in English, math, or science.
Yeah, I mean, Americans are pretty stupid, generally speaking, anyway. So I mean, let's not.
Well, hold on a second. Seriously though, like I want to know, like
we didn't send our best. That's what I would say.
Look,
We're not sending our best and brightest. We're sending our criminals, our rapists, our gang members. Like, frankly, it's a mess over there. So we need to make
so that explains
America
what happened
great
to
again.
Aborigines, huh?
I mean, you got to remember the people that left the UK didn't do it by choice. Well, they weren't our best people. Much the same as Australia, really.
well, I mean,
well, let me see if I can offend everyone. I'm just saying, like these.
Go on.
You know, have you read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yep.
That colony ship.
Wait, read it or watched the movie?
was-
Because I only watched the movie.
Oh no, the book. There's a colony ship in the book, and it's all the people who like clean the telephones and things like that. And they're like, "We're the first ship. Everyone's coming afterwards." No, not so much. Yeah.
well, it's also like, where is this like bad education happening, and what? I'd like to see the breakdown of who exactly isn't proficient.
I'm going to guess that
Why?
it's cities.
Yeah, like, are we looking at single motherhood situations here?
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
Like, because
Pretty much.
I seriously doubt, like, a lot of the time that the problem is, like, actually, like, education.
Well,
Because it's like,
part
well,
of it is
I've
probably
heard-
the quality of the teachers, but the bad teachers probably go to the inner city, which has the same issues we're talking about.
Well, the thing is, like, I was in advanced, like, placement classes in high school. I did very well in those. But the thing, like, so my best friend, because he just did not give as much of a fuck about school and kind of really fucking hated it, was just kind of in normal classes. Even though he's a reasonably smart guy, he's got like a lot of good common sense and shit. But he would tell me stories from like just the regular level classes of like how the students in there would like do wild shit, like, you know, start throwing bags of hair around the room, or like, be like oh, you fuck with me, I'm gonna get my boy Deltrice, he's gonna come kick your ass, and just like other weird shit that like went on there, like a student just kind of roasting a teacher, like, bitch, who the fuck asked you, and stuff like that. And so it's like, how much of that is like poor education, and how much of that is just really fucked like behavioral environment?
Probably a
Why
lot
do they
of both.
always bring their? Why do they always say that we're gonna bring our guys instead of just standing up on their own? Why do they always be like, I need to go get my friends because I don't have the balls to come and get you myself?
Well, okay, so in the example I was quoting, it was a woman who said that, so they quite literally don't have the balls. Oh shit, I guess I'm making a dangerous assumption here in 2021 that a woman doesn't have balls, but no, so that makes sense. It's like, you know, if you're a whammon, you're gonna get your boy to defend your honor.
I just I have to say, like,
very traditional.
In modern times, I don't really see the purpose of teachers. I don't understand the point. Maybe it's a bit of a controversial view, but why are we not simply taking the best, you know, whoever are academically the best 10 teachers for every subject in the world, having those 10 people produce a single syllabus, a single class, recording in high quality all of the classes, and teaching everybody the same fucking thing? What is the purpose of individually creating classes?
It's a simple answer: free daycare. It's free daycare. It's because because we have destroyed the nuclear family in such a way, thanks to fucking up the economy and feminism, that both parents have to work. Therefore, the kids have to go to school. And
I mean, they can still go to school, but why have an individual teacher create an individual class for an individual year of students, and replicated hundreds of millions of times? It's fucking absolutely obscene, absurd, stupid, ridiculous. Everyone should be getting the same class. You have the teachers there to support it, but why isn't everyone getting the same class? That's equality of opportunity.
Well, that oil guy, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because like before Jordan Peterson's whole benzo wife dying of like cancer fiasco, before all that shit, and I wonder if he's still like involved in this, but he and some other people were trying to work on some like online humanities type university where it's like, fuck all this critical race theory degenerate shit. We can get like a bunch of people who are a lot more based together and like get like humanities lessons and just like, you know, record them, get the material, whatever, and just reuse it over and over again and get like a much cheaper, actually based education in the humanities for people. And they were kind of working on that. I'm not really sure what the status of that is now that, like, after the whole Jordan Peterson hiatus thing, but it was something they were talking about.
Well, I'll give you a for instance, right? So in the UK, we have a very famous school. You've probably heard of it. It's called Eton.
Right, that's the one where there was like that.
That's the one where they raised pedophiles, isn't it?
Well, no, it's the most premier school in the UK, right?
But that was the one where that professor like made that video about masculinity.
Right? No, that wasn't Eton.
Wasn't?
But anyway, during lockdown, because of lockdown, Eton released all of their classes. They're online, so they put all their classes online, and they have been free. I mean, it costs insane amount of money to go to this school. Their classes have been free for the last year. You've been able to use them.
Well, there you go.
They're available to anybody. Why anybody in the UK has been sending their child to a shit local school where they could just have their kids at home watching Eton's fucking classes, I cannot imagine. I mean, why would you? It's just insane.
Do they get the I'm going to say, what's the English word for it again? When you finish university, when you graduate?
Of course not.
Yeah, graduate.
It's a degree farm. They just want the degree.
Yeah.
No. This is for children. This is the children's school. This is for your 7-year-olds.
Oh, that level of the schooling. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Well,
This
here's
is for your
the thing.
children.
Like, I'm not
School is overrated.
entirely sure that I agree with that. I mean, look, I can see that working for like maybe middle school, high school students, but part of the lockdown shit that just seemed ridiculous to me is like, what the fuck do people actually expect a 5-year-old to learn in an online class?
Actually, guys,
At that
there's
age, like
one
the
thing-
teacher needs to be more hands-on. So I don't think
I
recording.
think all teaching
I
needs to
want
be
to
hands-on,
point out
but they
about
do
the
need to be
title.
more consistent with the curriculum.
Uh,
They should be
I
teaching
need
the
to point
same
out one
things,
thing
but
when you
then
have time.
individualizing it for the children.
Well,
We've got-
should they? Oh, okay, individualizing it. For
Yeah, teach the same things to the same level, but then the teacher's job should be to take all of that and then make it so that it's easier for the individual kids to learn it. And
Yeah.
just while I'm talking, just real quickly, Trim, has your country been culturally enriched?
My country?
Yes.
Well, we do get culturally enriched. It's just that we make it clear that if you're gonna stay in Norway, you have to A, learn the language, B, get a job, and C, pay taxes when you
So
get
you
the
haven't
payment.
been culturally enriched then?
Well,
It's mostly
we call it-
gypsies.
Well, the
Gypsies.
Anyway.
gypsies always sneak past like
Yes.
rats.
So,
Oh,
sorry
shit,
for interrupting
sorry.
with that. It's just a question that came from chat a bit ago that we needed to cover. Go on, guys.
I just
Occasionally a
wanna-
few
I
oil
wanna
guys
point out
sneak
one
in as
thing,
well.
though. While we're on the subject of schooling and shit like that, this is actually something I've talked with some friends of mine who who have children, like in 3 different age groups. One is going to start high school soon, another one is midway through grade school, and there's this one kid who just finished kindergarten going to grade school. Now, there's this thing is that their kids, through this fucking corona thing, had varying degrees of actual damage to this. Their teenager has been less with his friends, thereby giving him less self-confidence. He has less of that livelihood which kids they should have. Then you have their daughter, who's in the middle of grade school. Again, haven't been with her friends, haven't been able to interact with people around her, made her more of a shut-in, just more careful and just prioritizing keeping distance with people. And then you have their youngest daughter, who's a kindergartner. When I came to visit them once, she screamed and ran away from me. And that's not because I
I
look
think that's
fucking
probably
hideous.
quite typical.
No,
Though, isn't
that's
it?
not because that's not because I'm hideous. I actually got an answer that
Disavow.
I mean I'm used to it, but it's just that she does that to everyone who comes around who isn't part of the family.
Yeah.
Because she hasn't been to kindergarten, she hasn't been with a friend, she hasn't been with anyone who helps her develop socially. That's what actually grade school is to help you prepare for school.
Yep.
It's
And-
to learn you the
Sure.
basics, and kindergarten is to help you develop socially. Without that, you will be crippled.
Not to mention, even especially middle schoolers and high schoolers also need to be in at least regardless of whether it's in a traditional school or in some kind of group learning environment, they do need to be in group learning environments to learn to function correctly with the opposite sex. I've come up with a new hypothesis. The reason most politicians are sex pests is because they went to single-sex schools and they don't know how to interact with women. Do you have a comment there, Royal?
No, I didn't go to a private school or anything.
Yes, but
It
I imagine
explains
you
the intelligence.
interacted with women some other way.
Including a lot of oil, but not the oil from dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there's a whole generation of sort of 14-year-old girls who haven't been finger blasted the way that they would have done in previous years by the boys from the school across the road. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be some catching up to be done all round, isn't there? It's not fucking true, though, isn't it? I mean, no, it's fucking true, isn't it? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
There's there's a whole year. I mean, it's going to take. Well, I mean,
Voice
I don't think
volunteers as
anyone-
tribute.
No, but I mean, like, no, like the outgoing ripples of these lockdowns will take years to
Like,
even
we might
even
see
comprehend all the
like
the
a
effects
whole
of them.
generation might be damaged by this.
They
I
are.
think
They
they-
already
yeah.
are.
Well, you know, it's fine if they're damaged because that just gives the left an excuse to like accrue more power to themselves to solve a problem that they created.
Might actually make them a bit more resilient than some of the other previous generations.
Well,
who knows?
my real concern is like a lot of people have said, the ones right at the beginning of their education, like kindergarten through to like grade 5. Like, one of the biggest factors for success, if not the biggest factor for success, is the ability to socialize well. And you only gain that ability by socializing as a child from like 2 or to 5. If you miss that, you are damaged for life. And so we're going to
It may be a
end up...
case that they have to do a lot of parties or something afterwards. And...
Well, I'm not sure that'll actually help, but it's going to significantly damage them. Like, in 10 years, we are going to see a generation of people that act autistic. Because they've been stuck at home to develop their own
not in that
special...
already.
No, but these people are
Damn.
undiagnosed fucking sociopaths, not autistic. None of these fucking leftist nutjobs who go, oh, I'm autistic, are fucking actually autistic.
No.
Like,
They'd be a lot more successful if they were.
Yes, they may be sociopaths. In fact, probably a vast majority of them are, especially the transgenders, but take my word for it, autistic people do not act like that.
No. Oh, well, I mean, I have Asperger's, so...
Oh, welcome to the club.
How do you put burgers in your ass?
With a really
Okay,
big stick.
yeah.
That was a bad one. That was a bad one.
Yeah.
That was a low blow.
But
I mean, it doesn't even count as a low blow. It's just lazy.
like,
Well, you see, Trim, it's a spectrum, as your friend would agree, right?
oh, I'm gonna fucking get you.
Oh,
Asperger's is not part of the spectrum, damn it.
It's not my thing. It's not my thing. But just be glad you didn't hear him, because he would have a deep voice. Just fucking. Oh boy, he chastised you. All right. I'm just happy to hear that.
One thing you can
How
tell,
vibrant.
especially from the way they talk and the way they write, is that most leftists are not autistic. In fact, one of the key diagnostic criterias for autism or Asperger's is profundity of language. There's a reason they're called little professors. Like, 5-year-olds that talk at a doctorate level of language are probably autistic. Not people on the fucking internet who can't spell words properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, not people on the internet who talk like, I am literally shaking right now.
Yes,
Oh, you know all the names of the dinosaurs is a good indicator as well, to be fair.
Well, an above normal interest in in anything, like a clinically above normal interest, even to the exclusion of other things, can be a diagnosis for Asperger's. Like, I'm not saying that there aren't autistic leftists. In fact, some of the people who are most profoundly affected by it, especially some of the victims of this transgender indoctrination, are quite possibly autistic. Because one of the key traits of autism is essentially an interest to an obsessive level in something. And if you're unlucky enough to have your obsessive interest become gender, not gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
But I guarantee most of these people aren't autistic, just from the way they speak.